All right, good evening, everyone. Let's call to order the 24-10-07 regular council meeting here at the town of St. Andrews on Monday, October 7th, 2024. This is being zoomed through Zoom and Facebook, but also in presence here at the W.C. O'Neill Arena Complex. If anyone has any questions pertaining to tonight's agenda specifically, please email pnopper@townofstandrews.ca, and Mr. Nopper will put it in the comments like he always does. Let's get right into the agenda. The first thing is the recording of attendance. I note that all members of council are here, with the exception of Councillor Neil, who is watching us on Facebook, I believe, this evening. And on behalf of all of council, Councillor Neil, we are glad to see that you are home. He did have a significant surgery, was in hospital for almost a week, but he is recovering just fine, and we look forward to having him back. Despite how we just get home, he did call me today to talk about everything that happened on council the last week. So I think that's a good thing, but also a bad thing. Yeah, everyone agree? But Councillor Neil, we're all really delighted to hear that you are recovering and look forward to you filling that chair very, very soon. The approval of the agenda, could I have some, first, sorry, I want to recognize that we are on the unceded traditional territory of the Peskotomuhkati people. Could I have a mover for the agenda first is what I'll be looking for. Councillor Heenan and seconded by Councillor Harland. Any changes to tonight's agenda? I will note it's a friendly amendment. We will not be going to closed session this evening. Councillor Weir. Okay, do you want to do that with the recording of the
or for your worship, can we just remember, can we remind Councillor Weir to use his microphone?
Oh,
It would be best to put it in as on the agenda.
okay, sure. Go ahead then.
So I'll move that we add that to the agenda.
Oh, sorry, you want to discuss it as an agenda? I understand. Sorry, we'll put that under new business then. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry. I thought you were going to make comments now. That makes a lot of sense. So that isn't a movement. So we have a mover to add a discussion in regards to the mail out. Could I have a seconder? Councillor Heenan, discussion on that? Okay, all in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Mhm.
And any opposed? Seeing none, that has been carried. And now we will go back to the question. All in favor of approving the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Mhm.
And that's everybody. So the agenda has been approved. Disclosure of conflict of interest. Okay, I will be declaring, I know it's more for the farmer's market, but I will be declaring one around indulge just because Kingsbury is active in that file. So I'll be recusing myself and the deputy mayor will go ahead. And I just want to note that we will start with planning just to get that out of the way, just as a friendly amendment as well. So no presentations this evening, so we're going to get right into the minutes. There is a lot of them. But I will speed through them. But before I do, is there anyone that has any changes regarding any of the minutes this evening? Any comments? Okay, then I will speed through them. The first are the minutes of the 240903 public hearing of objections, Harbour Town Builders, proposed development, 236 Mowat Drive, Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024, 6:30 p.m. Could I have a mover for those minutes? I've got Deputy Mayor Akachi and seconded by Councillor Bennett. All in favor of adopting those minutes, please signify by saying aye. That's everyone. They've been adopted. The next is the minutes of the 240903 regular council meeting, Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024 at 6:45 p.m. Once again, be looking for a mover. Got Councillor Heenan, seconded by Councillor Hurdle. All in favor of adopting those minutes, please signify by saying aye. Once again, adopted. We're moving ahead to the minutes of the 240909 special council meeting, Monday, September 9th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. You know the drill. Mover, please. Deputy Mayor Akshi, seconded by Councillor Ware. All in favor of those minutes, please signify by saying aye. That is everybody. The next is the minutes of the 240923 regular council meeting, which is Monday, September 23rd, 2024, 6:30 p.m. Mover to get it out. We've got Councillor Hurdle and seconded by Councillor Heenan. All in favor of adopting those minutes, please signify by saying aye. And we are at the last ones, which is the minutes of the 240925 special council meeting, Wednesday, September 25th, 2024, 6:30 p.m. Mover, please. Councillor Gumichel, seconded by Councillor Blanchard. His hand's not up to Mr. Nopper. Did I miss it? Do you want to give him a chance?
I want to give him a chance. He had his hand up multiple times.
There it is. Might be a delay. Councillor Blanchard, I apologize. We got you as the seconder. All in favor of those minutes, please signify by saying aye. Perfect. And now we are going to jump ahead to communications. So basically, this is a request to light up Town Hall on Thursday, October 7th, 2024. It's a national campaign for disability awareness. And there is a recommended motion there. Let me just jump ahead here. don't think I actually have a formal motion, do I? So the motion, since it is a motion, maybe I'll get a mover and seconder on it, that the council of the town of St. Mary's approves lighting up town hall on Thursday, October 17th, 2024 in blue and purple to recognize the Light It Up for NDEAM campaign from Avenue, New Brunswick, supporting disability awareness. Could I have a mover to do that? I've got Councillor Heenan, seconded by Councillor Gumashell. Any discussion on that one? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. And Councilor Blanchard rounds it all out. I looked for you there, Councilor Blanchard. That has been carried unanimously. We are jumping right into the staff reports.
Thank you, Worship. Council, happy Thanksgiving to everyone as we reflect on our lives and the privilege we have in living where we do. While all individuals have unique challenges, we are in an area where we can find assistance in most cases to overcome any obstacles presented. I wish to thank the Mayor and Council once again for the opportunity to speak on the activities of your local government. Council has commenced the budget process with staff as we reviewed at a high level various operational initiatives that staff are proposing and a discussion of changes in costs, both increases and decreases. Staff are using an inflationary increase initially with minimal changes to services. There are many more meetings to be held, and there is an expected delay in needed information as the province awaits until after the upcoming election to release some of the data. On the agenda tonight is a recommendation regarding the collection and disposal of solid waste. We are still operating under 2 contracts as a carryover from prior to local governance reform. We issued a tender and received 2 proposals that are before council tonight for your consideration. The consolidation of the contracts will lead to an overall savings for the town. Mayor Henderson released a statement last week about the wharf project being delayed for a year as we review environmental concerns expressed by the Department of Fisheries and Oceans over the amount of infill being requested. Our funding partners are supportive of the timing as we work to ensure this project is done correctly. The mayor, councillors, and the CAO took in the annual conference for the Union of Municipalities of New Brunswick and Association of Municipalities. In addition to discussing current priorities, learning opportunities were given on issues affecting the operations of a local government and the political climate we are facing. This group provides clout to the other levels of government as they speak with a unified voice on shared concerns and provide guidance to provincial and federal representatives on the mutual areas of interest for much of the province. We were also able to hear from 2 of the 3 party leaders of the upcoming provincial election. We have received a summary of the radon testing completed this past spring. We want to express our thanks to the New Brunswick Lung Association for including us in this process. While we do not have access to the data on specific properties, the aggregate summaries indicate that there is not a prevalence of radon in the area. However, they recommend that as buildings go under energy retrofits, retesting should be considered after that process is completed. September 23rd to 27th was Municipalities Week in the province, where we promote the importance of local government and provide opportunities to understand the process of civic engagement better. Council and staff engaged the elementary school once again through short essays and drawings to come up with a mayor plus a fire chief for the day. Congratulations to Acting Mayor Liam Bartlett and Junior Fire Chief Wilder Collier for providing us with insight, support, and their school Timbits on September 27th. We are actively working on the transition for the water bills. There have been expected hiccups as we work through the process, so do not expect the final bills until November. For those users that had a meter replaced since May, you will be given 2 billings, one for the prorated flat rate and then another for the consumption-based billing from that day on. Staff have been working diligently on the process, but it has been complicated and has involved 3 separate vendors as part of the process. In preparation for this, Council passed a schedule to revise the rates to consumption-based. Upon review of the schedule, we noticed the billing dates, not rates, dates were not amended correctly by staff, so we're bringing it back for your correction. The arena will once again be ready for use after the Thanksgiving long weekend. At the time of posting of this report, technicians are scheduled to come down to start up the plant after a few renovations were completed this summer that require their expertise in starting the system. I can actually say that the first layers down, the white paint's already down for the ice, so it's on time to be completed this week. The new ladder truck should be ready for delivery in late November. They have started the work on the bill and are arranging for the chief to go out and have a review of it prior to completion. The department members are looking forward to having this important apparatus that is not just a preventative tool for multi-story buildings, but is also important in dealing with most structure fires and getting injured workers off the ships at the Port of Bayside. Fall is barely in the air and the Christmas planning is on. The recreation manager is part of the organizing committee that tries to provide events over 3 weekends in November and December. If you have any ideas or are planning to organize a public event, please let them know so it can be included on the schedule. September turned into a busy month as we welcome students back, as well as multiple events taking place, including Trail Fest, the Dragon Boat Regatta, Oktoberfest, and Burger Week. I wish to thank all the volunteers who took part in these events, but I also want to remind everyone that these mostly free events do require individuals to keep them going and organized. If you can spare a few hours, please contact any of the organizers of these events in the future, to ensure their continuation. Services. The planners have been working on a municipal plan, among others, over the past few months. On October 2nd, they presented a draft to be reviewed by staff and council prior to being released to the public for their consultation. We will need to give a public presentation as part of the process. We are also working through the development agreement for the proposed pocket village being proposed by Harbour Town Builders. The Operation and Assets Manager had been busy providing input for the 2025 to 2029 budgets as he meets with department heads, senior managers, and engineers to prepare a staff presentation for council. He has also assisted the CAO in putting the speed sign around town, and reports have been provided to the CAO, who will review and circulate them with comments to you, council. The fire department is on a recruitment drive again, as they need to keep their volunteer base active, trained, and available. One way to look at it is that the more volunteers there are, the less responsibility on each individual. The more we have available, the less load on everyone, including the chief and a staff member. We would like to thank Griffin Craig for joining as a junior member. While limited in what they can respond to, it provides valuable training for those youth so that once they are old enough, they can be initiated into full duty with less effort. Also, a reminder, Fire Prevention Week is this week. A good reminder to change your batteries in your smoke and CO2 detectors and to test them out. The department will have materials for you if interested. Please contact either the town hall or the chief. One of the major initiatives taken out by the Recreation Department in the start of the seniors activities, including games, line dancing, and aquafit. Based out of the youth center for the first time, the shared space is being put to increase use as it serves various needs in the community. In closing, I wish to thank all those who take the time to respond to surveys, attend consultation sessions, provide written feedback to council, or volunteer for our various boards and committees. Over the past 20 or more years, community service has taken a back seat to other busy endeavors for our citizens, and that's citizens all over the country. To maintain a community-minded town, it's important for everyone to keep engaged and informed, even if your time to volunteer is limited. Respectfully submitted, Chris Spear, CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. Anything you want to highlight from the financial report?
Maybe, Your Worship, just that we're showing a significant surplus over our budgeted right now, but with the winter coming, there's probably going to be some repairs needed that haven't been reflected this. So 2024 projection will be provided in the future so we can estimate, I guess, not see where we're going to end up to get a better idea before we head into the December and the reserves and such.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. Any questions from any member of council? Okay, I'm seeing none. I'll be looking for a motion to approve the staff report. I've got Councillor Harland and seconded by Councillor Blanchard. I gave him another second there again to be nice, even though Deputy Mayor did clearly beat you. All in favor of accepting the staff reports, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That is no one. Those have been carried. We are jumping into the introduction, consideration, and passing of bylaws and motions as indicated. Let's go right to planning and community development. And that would be page 103, Councillor Harlan.
Thank you, Mayor Henderson. So this is reference number PCD 240702. And the subject is Amendment Z 22-10 to the zoning bylaw Z 22-01 PIDs 15025083, 01326214, and 01325406, 236 Mowat Drive, Harbour Town Builders, first reading. And the background is as follows. The town of St. Andrews has received a rezoning request for PIDs 15025083, 01326214, and 01325406 for 236 Mowat Drive from Harbour Town Builders. They are looking to create a small subdivision of 2-story homes. The bylaw process has been as follows: public presentation on August 6th, 2024. Views of the Planning Advisory Committee, August 21st, 2024. Public hearing of objections, September 3rd, 2024. First reading, second reading, third and final reading. If the council is satisfied with the views of the Planning Advisory Committee and the information from the public hearing of objections, council can move to the first and second readings. Council can still make changes to the amendment bylaw up to the third and final reading and add terms and conditions. And the motion is as follows: that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews grants leave for the first reading to amendment Z 22-10 to the zoning bylaw Z 22-01 for PIDs 15025083, 01326214, and 01325406, 236 Mowat Drive, Harbour Town Builders, and I so move.
We'll be looking for a seconder. That was a lot of numbers. Counselor Heenan. Okay, any discussion on this one? Counselor Heenan.
Yes, your worship and council, I just want to, and I realize that the preliminary drawings are only for looking, not for construction, but this first one always gets included before the changes were made. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that's not the current one. Current one you will find on the back page. So I just keep seeing this showing up in packages, and I just don't want anybody to have any false illusions that is the way it is, because it is not. And I realize, as I say, that it's footnoted, that it's preliminary and not for construction, but it's still confusing when it's presented the first in the package. Thank you, your worship.
Thank you very much, Counselor Heenan. Okay, anyone else? Okay, we'll call the question. All in favor of going to first reading, please signify by saying aye. That is everybody. This is bylaw number Z 22-10, a bylaw to amend bylaw number Z 22-01, being the zoning bylaw for the town of St. Andrews. It has been read by title for the first time on the 7th day of October 2024. We're moving ahead now to Deputy Mayor Akaji.
Thank you, your worship and council. FA 241021. Solid waste collection and disposal contract for 2025 to 2028. Background is this: as part of the ongoing initiatives related to the local government reform, the town of St. Andrews can consolidate the contracts related to solid waste collection for the expanded municipality. Currently, the communities of Bayside and Shamcook are under contract with the Service New Brunswick. Recycling is through a separate contract with Circular Materials. On August 26, 2024, tender 2024 to 05 solid waste collection and disposal services was issued with the closing date of September 20th, 2024. Two proponents made submissions which were reviewed by staff, and the following monthly fees were proposed. HST is included. Southern Sanitation Limited, $19,665.59. Miller Waste Systems Incorporated, $25,520.91. Staff are satisfied the lowest bidder met all the conditions of the tender and recommend awarding it to Southern Sanitation Limited. So the action or the motion is this, that the council of the town of St. Andrews award tender TSA 2024-05 solid waste collection and disposal services to Southern Sanitation Limited for a monthly fee of $19,665.59, HST inclusive, and enter into a 3-year agreement for the provision of this service. And I so move this, your worship.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Seconder. Got Counselor Heenan. Discussion. All in favor? Oh, Counselor Harlan. Oh, you were really quick. Oh, all in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And that is everybody that has been carried. Next motion.
Okay. FA 241024. And it's the amendment A-7 to bylaw number 19-07 relating to water systems, water rates, wastewater systems, and wastewater rates. Background: as we move towards consumption-based billing, Council updated the rates at the August 6th meeting of Council. However, under Part 2, the date on the original was October 1st, 2024, when it should have been April the 1st, 2024. This schedule only updates that one item, and the rest remains the same. This is to correct that staff error. And the action is this, that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews approves Amendment A-7 to bylaw number 19-07 relating to the water systems, water rates, wastewater systems, and wastewater rates. And I so move this, your worship.
Thank you. I'm looking for a seconder. Got Counselor Hurdle. Discussion on this one. Just cleaning up what was happened before. All right, I'll call the question. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's nobody. That's been carried. And since it is just related to kind of the water rate, do I have to read that by? No, because it's just a table. Yeah, sounds good. All right, I'm at a conflict of interest for the next one, so I will just recuse myself. Be right back.
Just give them time to scoot out. Now, Counselor Neal is not here, so Counselor Heenan, would you read it for Counselor Neal? And
Thank
it's
you.
the Public Works and Public Safety Committee. Oh, Counselor Bennett says partner, you could read
Oh.
it. Sorry.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Reference PWPS 241006, subject road closure for Indulge Farmers Market Saturday, October 19th, 2024. And the background reads, with the upcoming Indulge events taking place from Friday, October 18th, 2024 to Sunday, October 20th, 2024, there is a request for a road closure for Saturday, October 19th, 2024 to accommodate the farmers market for the farmers market. In the spring of 2024, council approved road closures for a Plan B if Market Square was unavailable due to construction. The request for the road closure would be Saturday, October 19th, 2024 from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on King Street between Water Street and Queen Street. Businesses have been provided a notice of the potential road closure. And the motion reads that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews approves the road closure for King Street between Water Street and Queen Street for Saturday, October 19th, 2024 from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. for the Indulge Farmers Market. And I so move.
Thank you, Counselor Bennett. Do we have a seconder, please? Counselor Harland? Is there any more discussion on this? Yes, Counselor Heenan?
Yes, your worship and council and staff, just wondering, that's after we put the road back to two-way, correct?
No,
Through your worship, no, the road will go back October 21st.
21st, okay, thank you very much. I forgot that. Thank you, your worship.
you're welcome. Counselor Gomichelle?
Also a question for staff. It's not gonna be on Water Street, just on King?
Through your worship, as previous, normally that it actually happens on King Street, like on Canada Day where the farmers market sets up, same area, same location. Just it'll have fewer vendors due to the time of year and vendor availability.
Thank you, staff. Is that clear, Counselor Gomichelle? Any others? Not seeing any more, then I'll go for the question. All those in favor, say aye. Contrary minded? It's carried. Would someone please go get the mayor?
All right, we'll move ahead to Councillor Ware.
Council Ware has requested that I read this one, if that's okay.
That's more than fine.
Okay, so this is in reference to EBC 241002, and the subject is a request for proposal TSA 2024-06, canteen facility for WC O'Neill Arena Complex. The background is the town of St. Andrews issued a request for proposal for the operation of the canteen at the WC O'Neill Arena Complex for the 2024-2025 season with possible renewal options. The RFP closed on Friday, September 27th, 2024. The town received one bid for the canteen operations. Staff have reviewed the RFP submitted by Kendall McGuire. Mr. McGuire has proposed a variety of menu items with healthy food options to be available to the users of the arena and to the general public. Staff would recommend the Chief Administrative Officer be approved to negotiate a lease agreement for the upcoming year. And the motion before us is that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews allow the Chief Administrative Officer to negotiate and enter into a lease agreement with Kendall McGuire for rental of the canteen of the WC O'Neill Arena Complex for the 2024-2025 year, and I so move.
And I'll be looking for a seconder. Councillor Ware, discussion on this one? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of approving this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That has been carried, and it is fantastic to see someone else looking to run the canteen, and I wish them the very best of luck. And if there's any challenges, definitely reach out to staff once the agreement's final, because we want it to be successful for both parties. So thank you very much, council. We are now jumping ahead. And is it Blanchard? Over to
I
you.
believe
Council.
so. Thanks, your worship. So reference number RE 241003, subject is radon study summary report for the town of St. Andrews. The town of St. Andrews, in association with the New Brunswick with NB Lung, hosted a radon testing program from February 2024 to May 2024. Provided with this report is a copy of the summary of the radon testing that occurred in the community. The results of the testing of 327 valid tests submitted indicated that the incidence of high indoor radon levels in the town is below the New Brunswick provincial average and in line with the results from Health Canada's 2012 Cross Canada survey of radon concentrations in homes. Council can accept this report as information. Note, one of the recommendations in the report is to repeat the testing in 5 years to see the comparative levels of radon over the years. So the motion before council is that the council of the town of St. Andrews accepts the radon study summary report from NB Lung as information, and I so move.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Seconder, please. Got Councillor Heenan. Discussion. Mr. Spear.
Thank you, Worship. I just want to bring forward something, Council, that was within it. And actually, the New Brunswick Lung Association was up at the UMNB this weekend, so I had a brief discussion with her. And a batch of the tests were faulty. And so there's going to be many of our residents that didn't get a final report because they just didn't work. However, they have switched labs who are supplying more tests back. And so individual landowners that had a faulty test will be able to continue to test. Last I heard, I think they're actually going to come to the office and we'll redistribute them only to specific and known landowners, so they won't be available to those that didn't get them before. But so they were going to reach out to most of those landowners, but the return rate was good. It was just, there was a batch of 5,000 out of tens of thousands that were made, and unfortunately, a bunch of them ended up in our hands.
Okay, thank you. All right, anyone else? Okay, I will call for the question. All in favor of accepting the report, please signify by saying aye. That's everybody's been accepted. So again, some of the homeowners did find that they did have a higher concentration of radon, but overall, the community is below the provincial average. And just an update from UMNB conference on Sunday, the AGM is it did get voted in for UMNB to try to work with the other levels of government to try to get the HST removed off of the radon mitigation system. So just relevant to this discussion. All right, that takes us through all of the motions. So we're into new business. Councillor Ware, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Worship. There was a mailing went out to residents last week, I guess. It did cause, I don't know what the word is, a lot of concern in the wards and maybe in town, I don't know. Anyway, I kind of devoted the weekend and most of today looking at the budget, the financial statements, and legislation under which we operate. I went through and then I started doing reference work on federal legislation and other provinces and all that type of thing. And then finally ended up with the PSAB, which is the Public Sector Accounting Board. And their sort of directive at the start of the Public Sector Accounting Board is that the cost of using its economic resources in the delivery of services is the whole purpose of having these set of standards. And where I'm going with this is departmental accounting. How do you allocate your costs to your departments? So then I went to the specific sections of the PSAB and found two that were relevant. Firstly, that the first one was the cost of using its economic resources in the delivery of services. And the second one was the purpose of the financial statements was to reflect the outcomes of the activities that create revenue, expenses, and determine the surplus or deficit. The second purpose, which is the key one in this discussion, is financial statements also provide a meaningful summary of the sources, and here are the key words, allocation and consumption of the municipal economic resources. And I think when we look at the statements, something that was almost insignificant prior to the annexation was the fact that it didn't really matter if it got in one department or another. Didn't affect the bottom line, didn't affect the tax rate. But now, if a cost gets in an improper department, could very well affect somebody's, either the wards or the town's tax rate significantly. Didn't have time to go through all of the statements, but I looked at two areas where this jumped right out at me. Number one was the water and sewer utility, which pays nothing for administration and management, to the best of my knowledge. Town staff do it. Utility doesn't reimburse or doesn't pay a fee for that service. So in fact, the utility has a fairly significant cost that is not reflected in their financial statement and in their operating results and in the recovery from the people that are using the service. And I don't know how many hours per week or per year or per month, whatever that town staff at town hall spend on the water and sewer, but I would think it's substantial. The second department I quickly looked at was Public Works. And I know that there's a tremendous amount of time spent on Public Works. And nothing is charged to that department that I can see for management and administration. So the management and administration of those two fairly significant, maybe our largest operating departments in the municipality, just go into general government and get charged to everyone in the wards and in the Old Town Plat. And I'm not suggesting that we delve into this tonight. I'm not going to spring something like that on our CAO treasurer and get into a discussion on it. But I want to point it out that it's something that had changed dramatically with the annexation. People out in the wards, some have said they're angry. I say they're concerned, probably both. But I think we really have to look at our methodology and our accounting system as to how we allocate costs. And like I say, it's not a discussion for tonight, but I think it's something that we have to get on the agenda fairly quickly. People in the wards don't really want to be paying for the administration of the water and sewer utility. They don't want to be paying for the operation of the town works crew, which from what happens here at the council table is takes a very substantial amount of time of staff's time at town hall, whether it's phone calls coming in to pick up brush or if it's sending out tenders or evaluating equipment and all those types of things. And the works department's not being charged that I can see. And I spent the first day and a half of the weekend just going through this theoretically in my mind. And then as I slowly zeroed in on the problem, well, then I limited where I was looking. I didn't get into other things that could affect it. The utility gets $118,000 for water from the fire department. What percentage of that water is used in town? What percentage is used out in the wards? That's a question that has to be addressed. I didn't look to see where all the insurances and employee benefits and, it's almost a line by line thing. And I'll certainly do more than my part of going through that process. But unfortunately, some things I can only guess at. And that's why I don't think it's a discussion. We can discuss the merits of what I'm saying, but I don't think it's a discussion that we want to ask the treasurer to comment on at this point in time, because it was a dramatic change. I don't think the facilitator, I sit on the facilitators committee. I don't think he had the expertise to even realize what the problem was. So, and obviously somebody in the provincial government dropped the ball too. So not unheard of. So it's late in the year to be bringing this up, but it was as a result of feedback from people in Bayside. In my case, I think Mr. Bennett may have some comments on the reaction in Shamco, but very negative reaction. And they didn't understand the numbers, and so, you know, they called me, well, what's going on here? So I took the time to I spent the weekend, most of today, just going through this and trying to sort out if we are following PSAB, if we're following just sound business practice in doing our departmental accounting. And so that's the issue I want to bring up. I realize it's an issue most everyone doesn't want to hear about, but it's an issue that I think we have to satisfy the citizens that we're handling it in a proper manner. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. I wouldn't say that this isn't something council doesn't want to hear about. I'd actually say we'd like to hear about it. So thank you for diving into that. I think in fairness, yeah, I'll go to you one sec, Councilor Bennett. I think in fairness to Mr. Spear, though, since there was no email in advance of this, he can dive in and do the scrub that you're referring to. The good news is, we know that what the proposed mill rate by the province, based on their calculation and where we're at today, long ways away. So even if this takes us even a year, it's still a good exercise to do. I don't anticipate it taking us a year, but I think Mr. Spear could probably go through it and probably give a pretty good idea. Some of them would be estimates because, you know, week to week things do change, but the principle of it is allocating it where the true costs are, just like you should for any budget. So there is merit to what you're saying. Mr. Spear, I'll go to you then in response, and I'll go to Councilor Bennett after that.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. I'd just like to say that there is cross charges already in the budget that's being put across there, so that there's $27,000 being charged from the utility over, or being absorbed by the utility from general administration, as well as $50,000 or another $27,000 in the public works. So there are some cross charges. They are a besttimate. We don't do hard cross accounting to account for every hour, but it hasn't been ignored. It's there. It's just to come up with what everyone thinks is a good figure.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. It'd be good to dive into some of those numbers so council all can see exactly what those are. Councilor Bennett.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. I, like Councilor Weir, went to my mailbox Friday morning and got this document that was put out by town. And when I got down to the proposed provincial calculated property tax rate, to say that I was upset was an understatement. That putting a document out like this to our citizens, that implies that basically in 3 years, town's mill rate would go from $1.27 down to $1.03. And likewise, Bayside and Shamcooks would go up about the equal amount, about 24 cents in 3 years. Besides the fact of inflation of our properties and property assessments gone up, it's very upsetting. And it's pretty hard to walk through or drive through our communities and look at our neighbors after seeing a document like this come out with, and I get it, and I do acknowledge, CAO, that you very clearly put in its proposed provincial calculated property tax rates, but there should have been more of an explanation along with that to help calm the citizens. Someone looks at this, it looks like their tax rate is going up 20% this year, and there's enough people that are suffering right now as it is with the increased property assessments and the increased mill rates going up in our communities, at least the Bayside and Shamcook communities. And to see this come out where it looks like town is proposing a 20% increase in our mill rate is, I don't think it was a wise action, not the way it was done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bennett. I'll go to you, Mr. Spear, in just a second. The reality is, though, is I totally understand your point, but the reality is that is in fact what the province proposed to do to the citizens of Shamcook and Bayside. We may not like it. It may make you mad, but those were the numbers that were cascaded. Councilor Ware was at that meeting. Nothing on that document was not what was cascaded by the province that they wanted municipalities to do. And some municipalities are in fact doing it. They are doing that. So again, maybe it could have been more clear. This doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. That is what was proposed by our provincial government to do to Shamcook and Bayside. if we followed their plan, that is what the plan was. I was at that meeting, Counselor Ware, you were at that meeting, and I got very vocal. And that's what made me do a YouTube video to say that the mill rates are going up and they're going up significantly. And I got told repeatedly by the province to basically be quiet about it. That is a true document. There might be some calculations to Counselor Ware, but the principles of that document was in fact what was cascaded by the province of New Brunswick. So I do have to stick up for staff on that one. We were told to communicate too what it was that was proposed. And the other thing is it's to get engagement from Shamcook and Bayside. They need to know what was proposed by them. Some people don't care until they know how it's impacting them. This showed them how they could be impacted. And although we may have alignment consensus of where we want to get to, there'll be an election in another couple of years. The next people at this table, they may look at that model and say, that's the one we want to follow. So people need to know what was proposed by the province of New Brunswick. Mr. Spear?
Thank you, Worship, and I don't want to delve too deep into it. I'll just say that that document was put out at the request of the ward councillors. I did have it looked at by the mayor. It should have been about 5 pages long, to be honest, but we tried to keep it on 1 page to keep it simple. That said, now it gives people a reason to come on Thursday night, December the 10th at 6:30, the Bayside Hall, and give me hell if they didn't understand it, or at least then try to go through it. I will say I was talking to 2 or 3 people that were in for other reasons from Bayside and Shamcook, 2 from Bayside, 1 from Shamcook today, just mostly 2 in the garbage issue, and 1, I can't remember what the other one was about, but no one expressed any concerns to me. I'm not saying they're not out there, but, you know, I was thinking I'd hear more from citizens. At this point, I haven't, but we can go a little bit deeper that a face-to-face meeting will allow than a 1-page handout. We kind of ran out of room on page 1, and page 2, as you saw, was down to the bitter end. But it's, in the end, it's always at the control of council. As the mayor said, that was the formula they came up with. And I know in some districts and other municipalities, it went up by 8 and 10 cents for the current property tax year that we're sitting in. So he's right in what he says, and you know, council will have to have a long discussion on all of this to figure out where to be, but staff is just reporting the information that we're presented. It wasn't to say we think we should go there. It's just exactly what the information is available to us and based on the effects of local government's reform.
Counselor Ware?
Yes, I recall the discussions, and, you know, we argued that we spread out. Fitzgerald, was that his name? I can't remember, but anyway.
Don
Fitzpatrick, maybe.
Yeah, Don, right? Yeah.
Anyway, he said, no, it's going in this year, and we hammered him back to a period, you know, I couldn't remember, it was 3 or 5 years, but I know there is an act in New Brunswick called the rate differential, or it's a regulation to the act called the rate differential regulation, which expires in 2032, in which most properties must be at the same rate, but there are exceptions. There's always exceptions for certain properties. And, you know, I've read it. The regulation is confusing at best. But I think it's something that I, as a citizen, am certainly going to hammer the provincial government on it. I don't think it's right that, you know, the tax rate be the same throughout the entire municipality, when in one section of the act, they say, and I didn't bring it with me, it's section 99 sub 9, if anyone wants to look up, that says that your tax rate will be based on the services you receive. Now, how can that be in the act and still say that the rates must be the same? You know, contradictory. But that's what 99 sub 9 says in the Government Reform Act, or whatever the title of the act is. So it is something that we all, and some of us feel more strongly about it than others. I feel very strongly about it. I'm a great believer in fairness and users pay. And those of us that can afford to do it and everything would much rather be giving our money to charity than to pay it in taxes. So it's certainly something I'm not going to let die as far as my personal agenda with the province of New Brunswick. But again, I realize there's actually conflicts in the legislation on it. So
Thank you, Councilor. Any other member of council? Otherwise, I am going to park this as part of budget conversations. All right. Thank you, council. Thank you, Councilor Ware, for bringing that up. We will dive into that further. Mr. Spear will take a look as well, just at some of the costing, and we'll circle back on that one. So thank you. We're now into question period. Is there anyone online, and was there anything submitted via email this evening, Mr. Nopper? Okay, and would anyone in the audience like to ask a question? Thank you for being here. Okay, we are into councilor and deputy mayor's comments. Any member of council? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Your Worship. Number one, I'd like to thank everybody who came out on October 30th. We had a great turnout, as I mentioned before, and I'd like to thank staff again, because I couldn't do it if I was alone, but I have a lot of friends, and we have a good staff that helps out with that day, and it's fantastic. The only criticism I got was they couldn't hear us. The sound system needs to be improved. So maybe that's what we look at for next year. But I thank you very much. And I thank Greg Mansfield for coming down. He's a drum keeper. He's got excellent knowledge to share with us. And he did on the drums. He blessed the drums. And we had not 70, but pretty close, I think, going around that point. And people certainly heard it. And it was a great night. So I thank them all, and I thank him for coming. There is a powwow that St. John is looking to put on for the end of October. Unfortunately, I haven't had any information about it other than it will be held at TD Center. So I would suggest you look on the St. John municipal sites and see if you can find it there. If not, check out the TD Center, but that is where it will be held. And I believe it's October 26th. It was 25th, 26th, but I think now it's the 26th, maybe 27th. As I say, I haven't gotten the information, so I'd ask you to check there for the grand opening and for all the activities that will be held there. I think it's going to be a great one. So have you got it, Mr. Spear?
Thanks to the power of Google. It's October 26th at noon and October 27th at noon.
Okay.
It's called the Minnekesk Powwow.
Okay, at noon on Sunday as well. Thank you. It's great to be able to go to a powwow, and especially powwow in our area. So thanks to the city of St. John, because I think they're doing the planning. Anyway, the only other powwow here is the one for the Peskotomuhkati, which is in August, second Sunday in August. And the other thing I had, I've forgotten. Oh, grocery bags. Good thing I wrote myself a note. I want to thank the people that gave me some. I took some of them in because I forgot the others home. I had to empty out my car to put tires in, but when I took the bags over, the lady was so appreciative. She even gave me a hug, that she was so happy to see that I brought in more bags. So I ask you that if you have any spare bags, to bring them to the office. They're greatly appreciated by the food banks that give out the food, and I greatly appreciate it because I don't have to carry those heavy boxes. So please, if you have any extra bags to give, bring them to the town office, and I will make sure that they go to the food bank to be used for distribution. Thank you again, Wally one. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and I know we talked about it last meeting, but thank you very much again for leading that event. It was definitely good to see our point as one of the major focal points in the province of remembering the residential children that the school system failed and society failed. So thank you very much. All right, Councillor Heenan.
I just wanted to mention how lucky we were in the UMNB brochure featured our front street in the table of contents. And I thought that was very cool. The first thing you opened the agenda and there we are. And I think of all the spots that could have been there, it was truly terrific. And I just want to say how proud I was when I flipped and saw it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Heenan. Anyone else? All right, just for myself, sorry I'm so casual tonight. I was in the rain coaching soccer, so to get here in time, this is what you get. So thanks everyone for their understanding. All right, we are not going to go to closed session this evening, so I'll be looking for at this particular time a motion to adjourn. I've got Deputy Mayor Akaji, seconded by Councillor Gumashel. All in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye. We're adjourned. Thank you everyone for attending.